What is up, everybody? It's Thursday. It's time for Points After Thursday with the Fantasy Forecast crew and friends. I am bigz. We got Grindberg down there. Schultzy's out front this time. He's not in the back ruffling through drawers. Coach Retzloff.
I love drawers.
I know. And Chev, legendary ball knower, is with us too. We are coming off of an absolute stunner of a game. The Chargers with the big comeback over the Denver Broncos. Not a lot of help on the fantasy side, although Nix didn't have a terrible game. He had 263 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, only 3 carries for 25 yards. Justin Herbert, on the other hand, had 8 carries for 28 yards, 284 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Audric Estime led Denver in rushing, 9 rushes, 48 yards, a touchdown. Gus Edwards led the way for the Chargers, 68 yards and 2 tutties. On the receiving side, Marvin Mims was the guy, 62 yards receiving. Cortland Sutton had 50. Devon Vele caught a touchdown on 2 catches. Michael Burton had a touchdown catch. Nate Adkins, don't know who that is, didn't know his first name. And look, guys, I study rosters, didn't know who that was. Ladd McConkey led the way for the Chargers, 6 catches, 87 yards. Hassan Haskins had a touchdown. Darius Davis had a touchdown as well. It was a good game. It was an engaging game. There were only a couple of fumbles. Bo Nix fumbled one and kept it. And then Kamani Vidal fumbled, and that was recovered by the Broncos. 51 points scored in the game, well over Vegas's implied total. The over-under on the game was 42.5. So hopefully you had the over. I certainly didn't. I thought it was going to be more of a defensive matchup. But, yeah, and now we are here.
We are here. We are here. And welcome in, everybody. We got some people in the chat coming in here. Schultzy, what is up, Derek? He's got a question already, and we'll get to them right away.
What's up, guys? This is a question.
All right, so Derek's question is Flex 1, Shakir, JMO, McMillan, and Kendre Miller. We talked about this a lot already. I know where we're leaning, bigz and I think, and we're leaning McMillan in this situation. What about you guys? Sorry, bigz, if I talked to you there, but we already agreed on that one in the profiler show.
That doesn't mean my opinion hasn't changed.
Has it changed?
No.
There you go. McMillan it is. Chev, I saw a unanimous head nod, smile there. This is an interesting call after, a couple nice weeks of Jalen McMillan coming in and playing some really good football. And, 3 touchdowns in 2 games here. And he looks like he's carved himself out a role, over 20% target share in both those games. So, Retzloff, coach, what are you talking about here? Let's get your thoughts on McMillan.
Hey, if you go with the list that we have in front of us, right, the spread, beautiful charcuterie spread here. Kendre Miller at Green Bay, it's simply opportunity share. Green Bay is one of the top defensive streamers, top ranked defenses this week. I don't want any part of Kendre Miller. I like him for the dynasty to have him as a stash. So you're crossing him off the list. Jameson Williams, you like to think that he could boom, but he's been too inconsistent. Khalil Shakir is the one guy next to Jalen McMillan that gives me pause where I'm like, hey, I could lock into Shakir if there's a guy in Buffalo that you want to trust versus Amari Cooper or Dalton Kincaid. You want Khalil Shakir, but on the other end, game flow wise, we're not talking about a 90-point outburst Lions-Bills. We're talking about the New England Patriots who may not match game flow here. So game flow wise, though, Dallas, Tampa Bay, it's got all the makings of a shootout, and you love to see that volume that you spoke to, Mike. So McMillan there. If I had to go with a second guy, I would go Khalil Shakir.
I think that's a very good call too. I'm very much on Shakir, but I also do like Kendre Miller as far as that volume-based, opportunity that you're talking about, and he's a very good pass catcher as well. So I wouldn't discount him in that next spot here. Bigz, what are your thoughts on that situation? You like Shakir in this one as well, but I know you're really high on Kendre Miller. So what's the splitting hair for you here?
So I like McMillan as a play. He would be my go-to guy in this scenario. I do like Shakir. I think Jameson Williams has an opportunity as well. I will say, let me check my show sheet real quick. Big start of the week, Kendre Miller. So I'm high on Kendre Miller as well, but I tend to lead wide receiver when I'm putting guys into my flex, especially when it's the wide receiver one for the Bills, a boomer bust spike week guy in Jameson Williams against Chicago, and then Jalen McMillan, who, like you said, 30% target share the last couple of weeks, and Dallas is going to be trying to focus on Mike Evans. So I see McMillan getting loose. Like Retzlaff said, Kendre Miller doesn't have the best matchup against Green Bay. So if there's any of these four guys that are going to outright fail, it's going to be him. So I'm looking at the lower floor with Kendre Miller, the highest floor with McMillan, and the highest ceiling, I think, is probably J-Mo. I'm going to go with McMillan, though, just because of his connection with Baker Mayfield, the fact that Baker's been cooking. In other scenarios like RB1, RB2, I'm starting Kendre Miller in a lot of places, and viewers of the Fantasy Forecast know that I've been huge on Kendre Miller all season long. McMillan too, but I love Kendre Miller. I was telling everybody to pick him up a few weeks ago on the waiver wire shows. This week, spoiler alert for tomorrow, he's my start. I think he's one of my starts, or maybe I saved him for this week. Anyway, he slots right into the Alvin Kamara role. He's a pass catching guy that can run between the tackles. He has a head coach that loves him, and not a lot of weaponry on that team, and a quarterback who isn't really going to probably do a whole lot. So you're going to have a lot of pass rush, a lot of people in Spencer Rattler's face, and he's going to be checking down to Kendre Miller a lot. And I love, in PPR especially, I love Miller's prospects, just not in this group.
Chev, you look perplexed at one spot of bigz' conversation there. So what made you so surprised?
I don't see a tremendous path to success for Kendre Miller this week, just simply based on the fact that I don't know that Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler, whoever's going to be playing quarterback from New Orleans this week, is going to be in an absolute blender in the frozen tundra of Green Bay. So I would love to start Kendre Miller. The opportunity, like Big said, is going to be there, and if he gets 18 touches, he could be an RB2, but also that offense could be so bad that they muster up 185 yards of total offense. Also as well, too, I am a patent Spencer Rattler denier. So if he's anywhere near the quarterback position on Monday night, I want no parts of it, and I don't want anything to do with anybody that does anything with that game.
All right. Well, what about this J-Mo situation? Because, the Bears are going into, the Lions are going into Chicago where, Jared Goff has only played one game outside of a dome so far this year, and it's on the road. Are we worried about Jared Goff? I mean, they're without David Montgomery, so I'm thinking this is going to be more of a pass-happy approach for them. And their defense is pretty banged up as well. So I could see some points being scored by the Bears this week. And this game has the trap game situation written all over it for me. The Lions really need to win this game to keep up. And they're banged up. So what are your guys' thoughts on Jared Goff's outlook? I like him this week, even outdoors. It's hard to say that, but it's hard to take a guy that just threw for 5 touchdowns last week.
Yeah, I was about to say it's hard to argue with a guy who's thrown 30 this year already. So yeah, same page.
Yeah, and I mean they've had to rely on running the ball in the red zone where, David Montgomery's not there. Craig Reynolds might, come in and be that guy in the red zone. But honestly, I see them using Sam Laporta a little bit more now. I think his stock has gone way up in the last little while. And Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think those three are going to be league winners down the stretch here.
Hey, just looking at the weather, because Nick M said something about worried about Goff playing outdoors. And you think about, okay, Chicago wins. Granted, this is a couple days out here, but it's just 34 degrees, partly cloudy, 13-mile-per-hour winds. To me, that's not enough for a concern. It doesn't show anything right now for any type of precipitation. So right now, I don't think you have to worry about playing outdoors with Jared Goff.
What about the fact that Chicago has allowed the fewest points in the NFL to fantasy quarterbacks? And the fact that, excuse me, Jameson Williams lines up on the outside 70% of the time, and the Bears have only allowed, where did it go? No, where to go? 17 points per game to outside wide receivers. So that would include like everybody lined up in X or Y spots for the Lions. So Jameson Williams is going to be sharing that on top of the outdoors, on top of the Chicago Bears suppressing fantasy quarterback points.
For sure. Yeah. No. I'm definitely on board with not starting JMO. I was just more talking about the Jared Goff evolvement here, because after a couple of games where he's been pretty good, great last week, and now he's going outdoors. I think the Bears are exploitable, and I think you're going to see a heavy dose of Laporta and Amara, and obviously Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be
Jahmyr to the moon.
To the moon. Yeah, if he's my RB1 here on out.
Over the course of the last 3 weeks, the Bears have allowed the 8th most yards and the 9th most touchdowns with 5, and they're allowing 20 points a game to the quarterback position.
Don't mess up my narrative with facts.
I was going to ask what's the last month on that, because they've been getting smacked.
They've been rough.
Yeah, I've been following that pretty closely, because they were a matchup that I was a complete avoid on early in the season and even into the middle part of the season. But they've started to face some stiffer competition. I mean, they got lit up by Brock Purdy a few weeks ago. That's like the one, meaningful game that he's had from a fantasy perspective in the last 4 or 5 games, if I recall correctly. And I don't fear them. I mean, Sam Darnold didn't do much on Monday night, but Justin Jefferson dropped a touchdown, or that's another multi-touchdown game that they give up. And then when they faced the Vikings in Week 12, he went for 330 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't fear the Bears defense much in the way that I did early on. I'm just you should temper your expectations, because I have full belief that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to give us like a 2013 Jamal Charles type of performance on Sunday.
Yeah.
Hey, and then looking over, let's see the game total, right? On FanDuel right now, 47.5 points. A key insight to what Chev is saying about the Chicago Bears defense not being as much of a stay away is the fact that can create some more likelihood of a shootout situation. So on one side, where we're talking about the bullish bearish nature of possibly from that one start sit question with Jameson Williams outlaid to the entire Detroit Lions offense, we also have on the other side, subtly, slyly, low key, that other end of DJ Moore, and be it through volume, because we know Caleb Williams has struggled. Keenan Allen and DJ Moore setting up for big days themselves to answer back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yep.
Perfectly said and rounded out there. I like it a lot. All right, let's get Albert's question on here. Appreciate
First,
Albert.
What's up,
We gotta
Albert?
get the classic.
He is always everywhere all the time. Albert Mataquin.
Albert
Appreciate you, buddy.
is Fantasy Football Advice Network's Jamie Perro.
Absolutely. All right, let's go. Okay, so pick 2, half PPR. Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, and Jawan Jennings. This is a great question, Albert, and you know what I mean? It's probably going to get a mixed result here from all of us, but
I think it's a layup.
I do too. I
Devonta, Jordan Addison.
Yep.
Sweep it, baby. Sweep it.
That's what I was going, but I thought there might be a Jawan in here.
Hey, Jawan Jennings, though, the last month finishes of wide receiver 43, 53, 6, then 67. It's been way too inconsistent. Love the matchup for Devonta Smith against the Commanders, because, of course, on the other side, Terry McLaurin's going to be doing so well and thriving. So we know that they're going to be trading back and forth, Devonta Smith and Terry McLaurin. Then, of course, how can you bet against Jordan Addison? He's absolutely been eating. And the Seahawks present – that's another game, too, on the other side, JSN. Jordan Addison setting up if you want to do skinny stacks. So, to me, this is easy. Clean sweep it. Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison. Biggs, what do you got? Are you going to sweep it for us?
Sure. I hate Jawan Jennings' matchup against the Dolphins.
I hate Jawan Jennings. You could have just stopped there.
Yeah.
I don't hate Jawan Jennings. He's been highly targeted. I'd certainly take him over Debo.
He doesn't like any 49ers. He's got 49ers hate.
Somewhere in between Debo and CD, right?
It's not hate. It's not hate. It's
Ray
just
Ray
an
McLeod.
inability to count on anybody but George Kittle.
Is he better than Ray Ray McLeod, though?
Yes, yeah. And I don't necessarily like Devontae Smith's matchup, but I'm going Smith and Addison.
Great. Sweep it. Okay. All right. Let's move on a little bit here. I got some contention points that we may need to target here. Let's bring up the show sheet. Let's go, boys.
Show sheet. Wait, do we need some theme music? It's time for the show sheet. Take it away, Mike.
No, I don't really have a show sheet. Let's just talk about.
There is a show sheet. Nobody filled it out but me.
What?
We don't have to fill anything out.
I filled out my
Just
side.
you do. See you and Mike.
All right.
Hey,
All right.
Okay, going back to Jawan Jennings, while we're talking, Jawan Jennings and Garrett Wilson are back-to-back on Fantasy Pros consensus rankings for PPR. Who would you guys take, Garrett Wilson or Jawan Jennings?
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
Yep,
Sweep
it.
Let me check my Fantasy Pros rankings. I have Garrett Wilson at 12 and Jawan Jennings at 23.
There you go. How about DJ Moore? DJ Moore versus Jawan Jennings.
DJ Moore I have at 18, so I'd take him over Jawan Jennings.
DJ Moore right now is consensus 23 to Jawan Jennings is 20, so 3 spots behind.
All right, let's move on to some important, one of the most important topics in football right now. And before we get into Mr. Magic's call, because we got to get into this this start and sit question, but Michael Penix, what are we thinking? Is this an upgrade for the Falcons offense in general, or because there's a huge contention point right now that this isn't a very good upgrade. They think that Kirk Cousins is ahead of Michael Penix at this stage of their career, that this isn't an upgrade for them. I got a lot of head shaking. What's happening there, Chev?
Oh, sweet. You called on me. So, all right, let's just play the assumption game, the if game that we did with if Rachaad White went somewhere else. Let's say Kirk Cousins was playing acceptable replacement level football going into this week. Let's say Kirk Cousins, let's pretend like Kirk Cousins was coming off of either one of the Bucs games, right? Let's just for this argument, would you have any sort of hesitation about any of the weapons in the game against the Giants if Kirk Cousins was coming off of the game versus the Bucs?
No, not one bit.
Now the Giants are coming off of allowing 5 touchdown passes to Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. I'm not making any sort of equivocations other than the Giants' defense is absolute garbage. Just diaper gravy. Okay? Complete and utter diaper gravy. All right?
I like gravy.
Now, let's say that you had a top 10 pick that was just that you were just like everybody was like, hey, man, this guy's really good. He's the future. And then you had his backup come in and just it was like, hey, we're gonna just let this guy sit and learn for a while. Where have we seen this before? Where did we see this before? Did we see this with Patrick Mahomes? You just you give him an opportunity and he runs with it, and then the rest is history. I'm not saying that Michael Penix is Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that he's the 99 overall version of Tua. I'm not saying those things. I'm certainly implying them, but I think that this could be again, no equivocations. This could be like Will Levis's first start against the Falcons, ironically enough, in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, isn't he the same age as Kirk Cousins? Aren't they like very similar?
They were in the same graduating class of 1978.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
I can comfortably say that unless you guys are like hardcore tape grinders, I can comfortably say that I've watched Michael Penix more than all of you. I watched every game that he played in 2022 and 2023 at Washington. That said, I'm not always 100% on starting a rookie quarterback in their first game. But if there is one to do it, it's going to be somebody who has the experience that Michael Penix does, has the rushing upside that Michael Penix does, is a lefty, and because I love lefties, and also is facing the Giants, and it's a great situation for him this week. And if you want to get into Kirk Cousins a little bit, I have one stat line for you: 11 of 17, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 112 total yards. Last week against the Raiders, Kirk Cousins was a hot mess, and in fantasy was outscored by Desmond Darth Ritter. So I have no inclination that Kirk Cousins is not completely washed at this point.
Well, Kirk Cousins cannot drive off. I saw somewhere out on X, somebody said Kirk Cousins throws the most beautiful interceptions. And really, it's a testament to how you watch them. They very much flow. They're aesthetically pleasing. But what happens with Kirk Cousins is he's always been able to place the ball so well, but by, of course, in his prime, driving off of his bottom half. There's been a huge disconnect between being able to drive off his bottom half and get some zip on those balls. So what's happening is the football is dying way too much on these throws, and there's just nothing left there. So now you just take somebody like Michael Penix, who is going to be able to drive through. You're going to have the advantage of the zip on the football. And also, I always like, kind of to what Chev said about Will Levis, before your opponents get everything on you. Granted, these NFL teams, these defenses clearly haven't seen as much as you have seen, my bigz, of Penix film, but they're going to do as much as they can. There's the element of surprise that happens in these first coming out games. In what better matchup than to have the Giants at home with just a plethora of talent? Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier taking all the pressure off. You have Mooney, you have Ray McLeod, Drake London. Like, there's a lot there. The setting is just right for Michael Penix to, people are hesitant. Hey, don't go out there that first game. Well, you've got this game, the Commanders and the Panthers. 3 games. We talked about it on the Dynasty Pulse. It's a great opportunity for his Dynasty stock to blow up. But if you're talking about, hey, what are you going to do this week or not? I'm in a league where it's Superflex, it's Dynasty. I've got Drake London for the stack. I've been out quarterback. I've had guys get hurt.
Fire him up.
He's plugging in. He's firing away. Yes, absolutely.
One thing to Kirk Cousins' credit last week, the Falcons schemed up. They did their homework. They watched their tape, and they know that Jack Jones is a ball hawk that keeps his eyes in the backfield, and they got him to bite on a double move that Kirk Cousins found himself with an absolutely uncovered Drake London and hit him downfield Other than that, Cousins wouldn't have thrown a touchdown in that game. So the Falcons scheming the Giants up correctly, doing their homework, watching the tape, and putting together a good game plan with a guy who can actually get the ball to receivers. It looks like it should be a big game for Penix.
A big Penix. All right, let's go. Mr. Magic here. He's got a question here, and he's got the Bengals D or the Falcons D. Both of these are smash plays. I would probably try and get him in my quarterback position if I was looking at Mac Jones.
Hey, we're going right from Penix straight to the D.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm taking the Bengals Penix or D. Sorry,
The Bengals.
Agreed.
The Bengals D. Okay.
Bengals for me.
Bengals. Okay. Wow. That's crazy because I see them.
Anti-DTR. Anti-DTR.
Yep.
And
It's all
I don't
bro,
know, man. I really don't know. I think I might go Falcons here because I mean Drew Lock is a walking turnover. But then again, so is DTR.
It's crazy because they're both
Teams at home.
top 5 plays this week, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. Which one's at home? Are they both at home?
Give me 1 second here.
And hey, they're both at home, and the
Yeah.
Falcons are on Fantasy Pros ranked 3rd, and the Bengals are 5th. So this is a very sharp question from Mr. Magic.
Well, we have at Player Profiler, we have the Bengals at 2 and the Falcons at 3. So pretty tight there. I'm going to go.
Bengals flip the field more often than the Falcons do, and they also they have more sacks. So there's just more of an opportunity for the non-yards and points allowed points on the Bengals side.
Yeah. Okay.
Darnold or a Stafford? I got Puka. Stafford for me as well.
I'm going to take Stafford. Get out of that rain game if I can.
Mm-hmm. I'm worried about. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that rain game. I like the upside for a shootout in that Rams game. So I mean, Darnold's got a good matchup though. I do like that against Seattle, but
my only issue is a West Coast team traveling east to kick off at noon. That makes me nervous. Always makes me nervous.
Yeah, I'm going Stafford here.
Yeah, I'm going Stafford.
I'm going Kyron.
I would love for this to be a Kyron game. In all my advancing teams, I have Kyron. So I like all my teams that have a chance to go to the championship have Kyron. So I'm from your lips to the fantasy god's ears, please, Kyron a lot.
All right, this is one. Goff or Darnold? The Bears are 31st against opposing quarterbacks. I know it's an outside game. They're facing similar type weather. I mean, not similar, but like weather conditions that could affect the game. And I just like the heater that Goff has been on lately. And without David Montgomery, they don't have their pounding red zone guy. I think they're going to be looking elsewhere to get in the end zone, and I think Goff's arm is going to be that way. So I think that's going to be a really good situation for Jared Goff moving forward, and even in a tough game outside against the Bears, I like Goff. Goff in this one.
The easiest way to negate weather is just to throw it about 8 yards in front of you to Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam LaPorta or Amon-Ra St. Brown. All of those short area targets that are catch and run threats. Like this is it sets up really nicely it sets up really nicely for all their weapons if they don't, just Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't break the all-time rushing record or something this week.
Darnold had 11 points last week against the Chicago Bears defense.
Listen, Team Pumpkins out of nowhere, and it will absolutely crater your team.
Well, something that bigz was saying on the Player Profiler show today was a little bit of insight on, hey, monitor Geno Smith throughout this Friday practice into tomorrow. There is a injury risk chance if Geno were to get hurt that game script wise, it wouldn't shoot out near as much for Darnold. And then when we talk about the situation call back to Goff and Caleb, where it could be more throw mode, this question isn't so much the 1-for-1 Goff and Darnold, because if you have them close, they're close for a reason, of course, right? But you have to almost look on the other side in each game, respective, who's the other quarterback in the offense who's going to shoot back. And to me, I like my chances. I'm taking Goff here, and I like the better chance of Caleb to shoot back versus Seattle and Geno to shoot back.
Sam Howell, baby. Also, Jordan Love had 17 points against Seattle last week.
On what, 23 attempts?
I don't know. I didn't do my research. I just looked at
I just know ball. I don't know stat.
I just looked at their scoring.
I'm going Strange in this one. I really like the upside of the target share from last week. 12 targets, 11 receptions. I do like Hawks matchup. This is really splitting hairs, honestly, but Strange against the Raiders. bigz mentioned it on one of our shows this evening that they're sneaky against the tight end as far as giving up points, and I like Strange in this matchup. Strange way to say it.
Something about a pumpkin.
He's been injured.
Yeah.
He's been limited in practice with an AC joint sprain, if I'm not mistaken.
Questionable.
Who's this?
Questionable.
Okay. One argument for TJ Hawkinson, last 3 games, he's had 6, 5, and 7 targets. Would you like that number to go higher? Of course, Brenton Strange had a lot of targets last week. What did he have, 12 or 13? In the last 3 games, 5 red zone targets for TJ Hawkinson. I feel like TJ Hawkinson is at least warming up towards scoring a touchdown. Touchdown equity for tight ends really does matter. It can be a huge difference between being the tight end 14 and then all of a sudden being the tight end 5 on the week, just landing in the end zone. I really like TJ Hawkinson over Brenton Strange here. The fact that I like Hawk to get the touchdown equity.
I'm going to put on my hardcore data analysis hat right now. Hawk is due.
Beautiful.
You heard the man.
That's a ball no.
Yeah,
that's what I like. Hey, get out of here with all that. Get out of here with all that data. Just
Now,
tell me.
My model says he's due.
I love me some Brenton Strange because his name is Brendan, but Strange.
And you know what? They've got their quarterback of the future in Mac Jones, and I think they're really starting to connect. Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange. It's all coming together for these Jags down the stretch here. We all know it.
All night long. All night.
Just wait till an off season with Mac. What'll happen?
That's right.
He's due.
Damn right.
Yeah, that's I got that one right off of the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Let's go. Okay, hey guys, need to start 2 wide receivers, non-PPR. Me, I know this one. This one's a layup for me.
Yep,
I'm going DJ Moore and JSN.
JSN, yes, sweep it.
Finger roll.
Wow.
Flummoxed.
Man, I'm getting the broom out. DJ Moore, JSN.
Boy. Oh. Wow. I'm going to go. All right. Okay. Just hear me out. What does Marvin Harrison Jr., what's the one thing that he's done on a fairly consistent basis this year?
Poop.
Drop balls in the end zone.
But he gets the end zone targets and he has 6 touchdowns, right?
This is correct.
The only other receiver that has 6 touchdowns is JSN.
So are you saying DJ Moore is due?
I'm saying
That's what I'm
saying
hearing.
DJ Moore. DJ Moore. Hey, you're gonna have to ride the pine this week, buddy. I hope you don't get any splinters. I'm going MHJ and JSN. Non-PPR touchdown. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What that is that 4-1?
I'll be
Schultzy?
the Lone Ranger.
Schultzy?
I'm your Huckleberry.
Wait till we start talking about
I'm really close on these two guys here with DJ and Marvin. And JSN's the shoe in.
Yeah, JSN sweeps. I don't think anybody's arguing there.
It's really close. I think I'm gonna go Marvin. I think he's got a little bit safer floor, higher ceiling. Like he's gonna get you a solid 40, 50, 60 yards.
Are you thinking it's the Panthers? Like just a bad matchup? Or good matchup, sorry.
I mean,
This has got James Conner written all over it, and
That's what I was about to say.
and they got Trey McBride. They went out and said they want to get him a touchdown. So where is that leaving Marvin Harrison if that's the touchdown upside in this game?
they probably say that every week for the past 16
Yeah!
weeks. A touchdown. Do you think just this week's gonna just because they
He's
said
due? He's due.
He's
All right,
due. He's
there.
due. Yes, he is.
Talking
That's
about
right.
you. There it is.
I have in my rankings right now, I have DJ Moore as in the second tier and MHJ in the third tier.
There's only so much he's due to go around, and Trey McBride's using it all up.
I like DJ Moore's matchup better than I like Marvin Harrison Jr.'s matchup. I'm not going to name any names, but a very close person to me who writes for certain websites. I was just today reading his hot takes article from preseason, and one of the things that he said was that Trey McBride was going to lead the NFL in tight end touchdowns. I thought that was funny.
I mean, the process was sound.
Correct. That's why I'm not naming names, because he doesn't need any smoke from anybody. You said, shut up. I know somebody who's specifically in here tonight who on a very famous podcast last year at the end of the season said that Trey McBride was the tight end 1 this year.
That was me.
Good process. Good process.
And you
What's
didn't
that?
tell me?
What?
What's that? What's that?
I said you've been listening to my pod for this long and you didn't tell me?
No, I went on a pod, a very pretty cool pod. It was actually really good. Yeah, and I went out and I was like talking about Trey McBride when it was the Laporta contest, and you know what? Between him and Bowers, it's going to be the talk of the offseason, I think, if McBride can get a couple touchdowns here down the stretch. But Bowers is like the elite talent, and you can't dismiss him moving forward. I have Bowers ahead of McBride, but Bowers wasn't in the conversation at that point last year, and no. I still see that because of the targets. When you can gain those type of targets in an offense and be the number 1 target getter, that is elite. And the touchdowns may come, they may not, but he's able to withhold that at this stage, even with the talent that Marvin Harrison Jr. is. So I like his situation, and I love Trey McBride.
I'm officially going DJ Moore. I was looking. He's been getting a lot more targets recently than I thought.
Yeah,
and
because Caleb can't throw the ball deep.
How many rush attempts did he get last week too? Especially
three for 24 last week,
and that was in the first quarter. I could see them mixing that up later in the game if it's tighter. They showed a couple cards there early, and
DJ Moore is one of those guys who can drop a 50 burger and break the slate.
He could, but he hasn't done that this year.
He's due.
We should just name this podcast, this show. He's due. He's due. There's a lot of people due.
Now
Wow.
here's the guy.
Now here's a guy who's due.
Let's get the Kyler or Jaden question up here. This is an
Jaden.
easy one. Jaden.
Do you want to hurt yourself for not starting Jaden Daniels?
Even against the Panthers, just as a James Conner game written all over it for me. James Conner could easily be the RB1 this week. Well, not easily with the Jahmyr Gibbs situation.
Right,
but
you just said Jahmyr Gibbs is your
him and Connor can easily be there this week. Absolutely.
I think in pretty much every consensus ranking, you won't find either one of those guys outside the top 5. I do, just report that page and block it.
I'm going Jaden Daniels. The experts have Kyler ahead.
No, that's wrong.
But I have one for you guys. Okay. Start 3. CJ Stroud against Kansas City. Jaden Daniels against Philly. Kyler Murray against Carolina. Bryce Young against Arizona.
Start how many?
3.
Jaden and Kyler 2 for sure.
I like. I'm going to go Jaden, Kyler, and then Bryce. I don't mind Bryce's matchup, honestly. I might even start him over Kyler, honestly, at this stage, and unless McBride gets in for 2 touchdowns. But yeah, I think that Bryce Young is in a kind of a sneaky spot right now.
If Trey McBride scores 2 touchdowns in a game in the calendar year of 2024, it might trigger the rapture. So
Let's go.
It's due. The rapture's due.
I'm here for it this week, baby.
So I do like Bryce Young's matchup. But so you guys are saying no Stroud, even though he's facing a Kansas City Chiefs team that gave up 340 yards passing to Aiden O'Connell.
Stroud outdoors.
No, not in the calendar year of 2024, man. We gotta pack up. We gotta pack up all of our Stroud bags and throw them away.
Yeah, this isn't.
Go get.
I was just checking. That's what I had.
This isn't happening.
Would be Bryce.
Okay, I have Murray, Young, and Jaden Daniels.
Yeah,
in
if
the
Jalen
lineup.
Coker plays, definitely Bryce.
Okay, that's what I thought. You guys validated me.
All right.
Here we go.
F you, Chuck.
All right, let's get another one up here, Schultzy. All right, pick one flex. Rashad White, Jadom Ford, Kendre Miller, Patrick Taylor, Travis Etienne. Pick one for flex.
It's got to be Rashad White, right? And I'm the Bucky Irving guy.
No, I don't think so.
Well, let's
This is
talk about
I'm
Jerome
going-
Ford. You
I'm
want
going
Jerome
Jerome
Ford
Ford.
out because of DTR. That's going to suck.
I don't know about that. I like Jerome Ford this week quite a bit, honestly.
14
Against the Bengals.
receptions for Jerome Ford.
Yes, exactly. He's the receiving back. Look what Tajay Spears did last week against them.
But what do they have to fear arm-wise from DTR? They could just
Check down.
Check down Charlie, baby.
Check down to the dirt.
And the
Yeah,
Joku.
So was that he just went 11 for 24 last week? Or no, that was earlier in the season. Sorry.
Oh, he just had a 62-yard run against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are one of the top 3 rushing defense.
For his
I'm
completion.
talking about Dorian Thompson-Robinson. This guy sucks.
Yeah.
This offense is going to be garbage.
He does suck. I can confirm he does. He is not good. I think we're all in agreement there. He is
DTR 11
not good.
checkdowns last week for his completions.
I have Etienne and Rashad White over all of them.
Really? That's
I think
really
this is Rashad White for me.
I got Jerome Ford as a start of the week for me. I'm all over him.
I have Jerome
really-
Ford right behind Najee. Etienne is RB24. Rashad White. I'm sorry. I have Patrick Taylor over all of them. If Garendo doesn't play, Patrick Taylor is my guy.
Between Taylor and Abanikanda, what do you think the split would be?
Patrick Taylor. 60, 40, 70, 30.
Okay.
He's been there the whole season. Izzy's been on the practice squad for the last 3 weeks since they signed him. Patrick Taylor knows the system, and it's a running back system. So I hate that Rashad White is splitting so many carries, and I hate that Etienne has been doing the same. I'm probably lower on Ford than most people, but
I have to go Jerome Ford. Here's why. Last 3 opponents, Pittsburgh, 10 receptions to the running back. Dallas, they didn't throw it to Rico Dowdle for some reason, but Rico Dowdle went 18 for 131 against them. Last week, Tajay Spears, 6 receptions, 87 yards. This has Jerome Ford written all over it. And DTR is probably not going to be able to throw the ball more than 10 yards in front of him. So, yeah, I got to go Jerome Ford here.
Hey, I hope it works out. I've got him on a best ball team. I've got Ford on a best ball team, so that would be incredible. So, yes, I hope I'm wrong. So I'll just put it that way.
He's got some juice to him, too.
2 complete games with DTR last year. He caught
that
6
run was
passes.
beautiful.
What'd you say?
In
Schultzy?
2 complete games with DTR last year, he only caught 6 passes, and that was him starting both.
Yeah, but they had Kareem Hunt last year in that pass catching role. Where this year they probably won't have that anybody that is going to create any competition for him in that backfield. And I just think that the Bengals are going to get up and they're going to need to check down, throw the ball, they'll get pressure.
Their best coverage linebacker is on IR for the rest of the year.
Kareem Hunt caught 2 passes in those 2 games combined.
But he was still in the lineup. He was still gaining snaps. How many snaps did he have those games? Probably, 50-50. There's no way that
2 targets on 2 receptions in 2 games for Kareem Hunt with DTR at the helm. I don't think that's anything we can sit here and say that's meaningful.
I said this in our other show about Jerome Ford. I was right on the Tony Pollard call last week against the Cincinnati defense, and I see a very, very similar game script for Jerome Ford. Cincinnati gets out front, and there's not a whole lot of running back stuff.
Dude, Jerome Ford is going to garbage his way to another top 10 finish. Garbage time his way to another top 10 finish. 100%. I have a spicy take for you guys that I've been saving, and I meant to drop it earlier when we talked about it. But with this whole Joe Mixon new hip drop injury, I am a super Joe Mixon truther. I'm going to start Jalen McMillan over Joe Mixon in a full PPR.
Same.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
What? You guys are –
Yeah, Mixon was my sit of the week.
I'm huge on –
and then my wolf pack.
I spoiled it again.
Got 4.
Yeah. No. I mean, Mixon's up against the Chiefs on the road. I just don't see a whole lot of room for him. McMillan's in a smash spot against the Cowboys. He's one of my starts of the week. I see him finishing as a top 24 wide receiver. I have him over a lot of guys. I love this call. Chev, I don't think that's super controversial at this stage. And yeah, man, good call on that one.
Not as spicy as my bourbon maple ass blaster sauce.
One last note on Jerome Ford. By the time he got in the game, they were playing catch-up mode of the Chiefs the rest of the day. He saw 2 targets.
But
Actually,
I'm out on Jerome Ford in this scenario, but he looked amazing on that run. He's
really good.
Great.
He is really
Yes.
good.
Yes. And hey,
A lot of players have looked
hope
really
he
good
tried.
for one play.
I hope I'm wrong.
No, I mean, no, not just one play. Like, this isn't the only time he's broke like a 60+ yard touchdown.
Actually, to be technically correct, which is the best kind of correct, it's chocolate cherry bourbon ass blaster sauce or maple starburst ass blaster sauce.
Maple Starburst. Interesting. I love it.
It's made with those starburst super chilies and maple syrup.
Okay, we got one more question here, and then I think we should wrap her up. All right, so last question for me. Pick one for wide receiver 2. Marvin Harrison Jr. Well, we know that McMillan is our call on this one. This was like, we've been talking him up all week. We've been talking about it on all our shows tonight, and you know what?
This reminds me that somebody was totally right on Adam Thielen last week. Because don't start him because Jalen Coker's healthy. I just thought of that. Sorry, Mike. Jalen McMillan all the way.
A question for you guys. Targets the last 3 weeks. Adam Thielen, 10, 11, 7, 3 of those being red zone. Jalen McMillan, 3, 7, and 6 with 1 red zone target. Does that sway you at all, or are you just bullish forward because of how well it's looking and arrows pointing up for Jalen McMillan?
I'll take this one. Yes, arrows are pointing up for Jalen McMillan, but what I had said last week was Thielen did that without Jalen Coker on the field, and Coker was healthy. So now that Coker's back on the field,
Okay.
and then Chev corroborated with he's the best wide receiver in that offense.
All right, so it's Jalen McMillan, and then, of course, on the other side of that, it's a different game now because it's not Thielen to Marv. It's McMillan slam dunk over Marv, correct?
Yeah. I think Chev might see it differently. So on behalf of Chev, MHJ, he's back. So let's get him the opportunity to answer this one. Chev, I answered for you, but you can go ahead and reiterate.
Is this the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Pick one for wide receiver 2, MHJ, Thielen, McMillan. It's non-PPR?
Not specified.
Yeah.
Did he specify? He did. Okay.
He did.
Yeah, McMillan.
Really?
Hey.
Okay. I answered Marv for you, but apparently I was even wrong about that too.
If it's non-PPR, then I would go MHJ just because you've got the higher odds for a touchdown. But yeah, if it's any form of PPR, it's McMillan or Thielen.
And I was able to remind everybody how right you were last week about how not Thielen if Coker's on the field.
Yeah, Jalen Coker is gonna be a thing. He is a thing.
Right.
It's a thing now.
Oh wait, I was the one who said that. You just agreed with me.
Yeah. Either way, hey, we got there.
I know we got it.
All right.
Are we done?
Yeah.
I think so. That was the last one.
Pretty good.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, hopefully everybody enjoys the weekend. Week 16 is upon us. Check out our fantasy merch shop on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, 30% off. Hit it up right now with the code FSAN. So let's go, everybody. Bigz.
Make sure you watch our Start and Set show tomorrow for further analysis. Watch our injury show on Saturday with Dr. Marcus, PT. And watch Breakfast with Bigz. I got special guests this week. Grindberg and Schultzy, if he wants to pop in. Maybe some Amber. Let's get it going. Let's have a little party celebrating our playoff spots in fantasy football. Also, tomorrow at 4 o'clock over on Player Profiler News, you can catch me and Chev giving you the news. It's going to be mostly injury stuff, some game takes, betting lines, things like that. It'll be fun. It's not fantasy, but we'd love to see you there on Player Profiler News. And other than that, unless your name is DMIC Media or Chalk or Jack Lucene, we hope you win.
We hope you win.
We hope you win. Peace out.
Jack.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com.